Hello and welcome back to the Royal Reviewer channel, and today's transmission is coming at you from a completely different location. What do you think of my set? Do let me know. It is the 1st of May 2023 and we are beginning a new Royal Reviewer era. So I'm hoping that you subscribe, like, share, comment, all that good stuff, and come along with me on this journey. So today, I've only really got kind of one little piece of coronation news updates, but I do want to get into some viewer comments and questions from my previous video because there are some interesting points that I would like to talk about. So first of all, I would like to talk about the thrones. So the throne that you might be very familiar with is of course the St. Edward's throne, which is the big wooden old throne that pretty much every single monarch has been crowned on. That will be used for the actual crowning with the St. Edward's crown. But there are going to be a couple of other thrones and chairs used throughout the ceremony. Now, typically, new thrones will be created for a monarch, but in terms of conservation and sustainability, King Charles and Queen Camilla have opted to have had to reuse and have had recovered thrones previously used by King George VI, Charles's grandfather, and his grandmother, who became the Queen Mother after George VI's passing. So they are being recovered. I'll pop some photos on. They do look very lovely. Now, what's going to happen to the backing that has been removed? That will go to the royal collection. So nothing is going to be thrown away. Queen Elizabeth's emblems, monogram, that of the Duke of Edinburgh. By the way, the Duke of Edinburgh's throne wasn't actually used at the late Queen's coronation because Philip himself was not crowned side by side by Queen Elizabeth. He did, of course, swear his allegiance. He became her liege man of life and limb, but that was his only kind of role at the coronation. Whereas this time around, Queen Camilla will be crowned next to the king, or rather just shortly afterwards. So I think it's really lovely that they are reusing previous thrones. One of the things I think is also touching is that it is Charles's grandfather and grandmother's thrones that they are reusing. And the Queen Mother was so important to Charles throughout his life. And notably, for example, the tiara that I'm wearing today is the honeycomb tiara. Now, this tiara, of course, was not actually worn by Queen Elizabeth after she inherited it off her mother. It was almost on long-term loan permanently to Camilla, and as was a lot of the Queen Mother's jewellery, including the engagement ring that Charles gave to Camilla was the late Queen Mother's, his grandmother's engagement ring. We all know and think of the late Princess of Wales's sapphire and diamond engagement ring, which now Catherine wears. But actually, a really lovely engagement ring is Camilla's. It kind of largely goes unnoticed, but it's beautiful baguette diamonds. If I can, I'll pop a photo on. So I'll have shown you by now a few examples of the chairs being recovered. I just thought that was really interesting and important to show. Also, people are going to want to know where you can watch the coronation from. Now, it is being live streamed, and I do believe it's being live streamed on the BBC. I'm not sure if it's actually going to be live streamed on the Royal Family official channel. I imagine it might be, but everything kicks off at 11 a.m. here in the United Kingdom on the 6th of May. But I would say if you want to catch all the arrivals and things, I would start watching a little bit earlier. And I'm hoping that the arrivals are going to be covered online as well so that everyone can get a chance to see it. I imagine all of the big news networks will be carrying it as well from whatever country you are from, especially if you are currently in a Commonwealth country. I think they'll definitely be showing it on one of your big networks. So Do check locally, but you will definitely be able to catch it online, and I imagine live as it is happening. One interesting story that I actually heard of the other day was that in the previous coronation, all of the undersea cables were not in place at that time. And of course, we didn't have digital and satellites and all that kind of thing. So physically, the reels had to be flown, and there was a race to fly them from the United Kingdom over to America. And there was like a bit of a fight between which network was going to get to show it first. And I think in the end, one network won by about 16 minutes or something of that nature. So this time around, 70 years later, we don't have that issue. Everything is really immediate. Everything, can be shown all around the world pretty much simultaneously. So I'm hoping that we will all get a chance to enjoy the coronation at the same time. Right, so I'm now going to read some comments from my previous video. This one comes from the Queen of Kingsbury, who says, "Thanks, Elliot. I so much appreciate the coronation update. You are more than welcome. I will try and bring you as much as I possibly can over the next few days. Just loved Catherine's wedding dress by Alexander McQueen. It was a gorgeous dress. I just loved the lace, and it was racy. It was racy, lacy, and it kind of kicked off. It revived a trend for lace. I think lace at the time had kind of fallen a little bit out of favour when it came to wedding dresses. I think at the time, everyone was kind of, I suppose the aspirational dresses were more like these sort of big fat gypsy wedding dresses and, quite big numbers, and lace came back because of Catherine. So yes, I think we can thank Catherine and Alexander McQueen for bringing back lacy dresses. The Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, the Queen's late favourite. You hope that goes to Catherine. Well, we don't know with the tiaras exactly who's going to wear what. We haven't seen Camilla, the Queen, wearing any of the late Queen's really kind of pieces that she hasn't worn before. We did see a blue sapphire tiara, but we haven't seen, for example, the Vladimir tiara, the fringe tiara, the Kokoschnik tiara. There are so many that we haven't seen. And it's my prediction, I don't think we will see Catherine wearing a brand new tiara. There was talk, and I think this is really, really skewed, so I'm going to call it out. I'm going to call the media out on this one. There's talk that Catherine wants to wear a flower crown. Now, I don't think she's going to wear a flower crown. I think this story has actually been repurposed and reused from a previous story that came out not so long ago about, again, going back to Catherine's wedding, that she wanted to wear a flower tiara or a flower crown, flower band in her hair for her wedding. And of course, the Queen offered the Cartier halo tiara, which she ended up wearing. So I think people are kind of thinking, well, maybe because of Charles's love of nature, flowers, sustainability, that she might opt to wear a flower tiara or a flower crown for the coronation. I think this is a complete load of nonsense. I'm calling it now. I'm not seeing flowers in my royal mind's eye. So I am going to call this out as fake news. So I'm going to get my black fan and go fake news for that one. If it does turn out that she wears a flower tiara, I will eat this bow tie live on air. So no, I don't think it's going to be flowers in the hair. I think we are going to see the royal ladies wearing tiaras, but I've got a feeling, just a feeling, it's in my waters, that we're not going to see Catherine wearing a brand new tiara. We might, I'm going to tentatively say might, but I don't think so. I think what we are going to see is the Cambridge Lovers Knot tiara making another appearance. Catherine wears this often. She kind of interchanges it sometimes with the lotus flower tiara, but she does often wear the Cambridge Lovers Knot, which of course Diana wore on many occasions. She kind of interchanged that tiara with the Spencer tiara, which is now back with the Spencer family. But I think we're going to see the Cambridge Lovers Knot as a nod to Diana, but also because it is, in fact, one of the larger tiaras, important grand tiaras in the collection. It was Queen Mary's. She had it designed. She based it off the Duchess of Augusta tiara. So I think we're going to see that. I would actually love to be pleasantly surprised and see a new tiara being worn. I'd even like to see a brand new tiara being completely debuted. Wouldn't that be lovely if they'd actually used some royal family jewels to actually make a brand new tiara for the occasion? Wouldn't that be amazing? But no, I don't think we're going to be seeing a brand new tiara, and I doubt we'll see the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. But here's hoping. I would love to see so. Do we think that she's going to wear the 7-strand pearl choker with the sapphire that was Diana's? I am waiting to see that. I am going to literally. I don't know what I'm going to do. As soon as I see that emerging, I will be just. I will be in heaven. I really will. But the problem is we don't know who's got it. We don't know if that's gone to Meghan, or whether Catherine's got it to go with her kind of more sapphire collection of jewels. I imagine that it has gone probably to Catherine via William, but I would like to see it being worn by I'd like to see it become part of the royal jewels, because of course Diana's jewels that Catherine has, once Catherine is queen, will become part of the Queen's jewels, unless any are going to be bequeathed, for example, to Princess Charlotte. So the likelihood is that most of Diana's pieces will be kind of, I suppose, enveloped in the royal jewellery collection, potentially to be worn by future queens and queen consorts, of course. So yes, I don't think we're going to see that choker being debuted at the coronation. I would like to see it, however, debuted. 7 strands of pearls, that beautiful, gorgeous centre Ceylon sapphire, surrounded by diamonds, that was actually a brooch to begin with. It started life as a brooch. But Diana didn't like, I think she only wore it a couple of times as a brooch and then had it fashioned into that famous choker. But I'm not sure Catherine, it could be quite big for her neck. She does have a very slender neck. I'm not saying Diana didn't have a slender neck, but I imagine it would have to be altered. Going back, of course, I'm going to call up a comment from the previous video when I spoke about the coronation ring. Now, Charles is not going to wear the coronation ring. The late Queen did wear the coronation ring for the whole duration of the coronation. Charles is just going to touch it, and then it's going to be kind of put away, I think, back on the high altar or somewhere close by. Somebody made a really good observation. I forgot who it was, but you actually made a really good point, and I'm going to talk about it here. Charles, in recent years, his hands, his fingers, they are, they have been referred to as sausage fingers. And they are quite big, and I think there actually might be, and someone said maybe it's because he can't actually get the ring on his finger. I think that might actually be a very real prospect. Now, of course, jewellery can be altered. The St Edward's crown, the imperial state crown has all been altered. We expect the arches on the imperial state crown to be raised up again, because of course they were lowered for the late Queen to make it a little bit more ladylike and a little bit easier to wear. So we expect the arches to be raised again, but the coronation ring could be resized. But then again, are any successive monarchs coming up going to have the same finger? And then you've got to resize it again. I suspect that you might actually be right, that the reason why he's not wearing it is because he literally can't get it on his finger. So touching it may be the more viable option. So I'm probably going to go with that, I think. Catherine Neal says, thanks for the information on the robes and rings. Your posts are always helpful and informative for me here in the States to better understand the British customs and traditions. British customs and traditions are not easy to understand. Sometimes they can be very complicated and very much kind of ingrained in the British psyche. Sometimes you have to have lived here and been brought up here to fully understand why we do some of the crazy things that we do and why we spend money on some of the crazy things that we spend money on. And it is all about getting into the British psyche. So if I can help by explaining some of these traditions and customs, then I think I've done a good job. So thank you very, very much. Okay, the next comment I'm going to read is from Jackie Gold, and it made me laugh. It really did. Oh dear, when you said about Charles wearing his grandfather's robe, I got an instant image in my mind of Ron Weasley's robes in Harry Potter. Do you remember Ron Weasley's dress robes? How awful they were. Once thought of, I just can't get that image of Charles in that get-up out of my head. I've been giggling through the rest of your review. Lovely reporting as usual, thank you. Well, Jackie, yes, that is an image, isn't it? Ron Weasley's dress robes were absolutely appalling. And of course, I'm going to turn your comment serious for a moment because, well, kind of semi-serious. There was obviously talk about will Charles wear, for example, the garter and the stockings and all the flouncy pieces. And we still don't 100% know. I mean, people are thinking he might wear the ceremonial dress of the Admiral of the Fleet. Personally, I would like to see him in the old-fashioned sort of Georgian stockings with the garter belt and the little breeches like silk. I would love to see him in that traditional get-up, but that might be one of the concessions to the modern era that we're going to have to make. So just like Ron Weasley, the king might not want to look sort of flouncy and frivolous with all the frills and all that kind of thing. So really funny comment, but actually it kind of is quite relevant, I think, to King Charles's thought process. Right, so my next question comes from Nancy Cooksey, who says, "Hello, Elliot. Would you please explain to me what the sceptre and rod symbolise and what they are for? I imagine it goes way back. And also, did the Duke of Edinburgh wear a robe at the Queen's coronation?" Yes, he did. He did wear a robe. If you see him swearing his allegiance of life and limb, he was wearing a robe and, of course, a ducal coronet. So yes, he was wearing a robe. Going back to your question about the different sceptres, the two sceptres are the sceptre with cross, which represents temporal power and is associated with good governance. It comprises a gold rod surmounted by an enamelled heart-shaped structure which holds the cullinan, the first diamond. It's a huge, magnificent, sparkling diamond. The sceptre was created for King Charles II, and the cullinan, the first, was added in 1901. The sovereign sceptre with dove, traditionally known as the rod of equity and mercy, represents the sovereign's spiritual role, with the enamelled dove with outspread wings representing the Holy Ghost. It was created by the crown jeweller Robert Viner in 1661. So I hope that gives you a little bit more insight into the history and the meaning and the symbolism behind those rods and sceptres. Everything in the coronation has a very deep meaning, and I imagine if you watch, for example, the BBC commentary or ITV, everything will be explained as it's going on. There will be so much information out there about all these different elements of the coronation, which are traditional and which will come together, and I don't think are going to be cut back. Okay, my next comment comes from Anna, who says, "Thank you, Elliot, for all the updated information. Looking forward to watching your new format tomorrow." Well, here it is. Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think of the new set? Is it working for you? Should I change anything? I'm really liking it. It feels correct. And also, I've got a lot of my collection of books behind me. Not all of them. This is just a selection of books, and I may change them from time to time in the background. So you can probably make out some of my books. I mean, this is where I get a lot of my knowledge from, is actually being well read on the subject. And some of my really amazing books on jewellery, royal jewellery, are behind me on the shelf over here. So, so yes, this is how I know what I know. I watch things on TV, documentaries from the past, from all of my life, and I read books. I actually read history books. So this is how I'm able to sort of analyze what's going on today and apply it with the royal knowledge of the past to have a better understanding of what's going on. And I think that's what gives me a really good understanding of it. I agree, William is looking very handsome, seems to be entering a new phase. Don't know if he seems to be filling out or something. I I think I don't know what it is. Maybe it was the sunglasses. I really don't know. I'll pop a picture again. Maybe it was the sunglasses, but he did look very handsome. My big Willy is looking very, very, very handsome, and I can see why Catherine is still a very happy lady, very happy indeed. I'm going to raise an eyebrow. Yes. Can we have a fan flap? Fan flap for Big Willy. Let's give him a fan flap. There we go. We give a fan flap for Big Willy. I need to get a new yellow fan. My yellow fan broke. Anyway, yes, Catherine is one lucky lady because William is looking hot to trot. He really is. In that photo, he's mounted on a bike, as is Catherine, but he's mounted on a bike. He's looking like he's ready to go. Action man. The jeans look really good. The shirt is, I don't know, he's just grown into his bald head. He really has. And he's looking just really, really handsome. So yes, I stand by. Big Willy is looking very, very, very handsome. But Anna says, not caring for King Charles's new photo. The placement of his left hand is odd. Feel the same regarding Queen Camilla's odd placement of the left hand as well. I think they are going for an informal look, but to me it looks awkward. I did comment at length on this before in the previous video. I do think it's supposed to be informal but in control. And I think that's, if you look at previous photos of Charles, he does have his kind of hand rested in his pocket slightly. Yes, perhaps it is almost trying to disguise the kind of the big fingers, perhaps as well. That could be a circulation issue. You're also going to make coronation chicken quiche, coronation chicken and the coronation chicken quiche, and a Victoria sponge for Saturday's festivities. Are you doing anything in particular? I am staying at home. I am watching it on the television because that's the best place to watch the coronation from. You will get to see everything. And then I'm planning on doing perhaps a live chat or a live stream. Now, obviously, I'll be watching that at home, so I may not have my beautiful, gorgeous set. I don't know. I haven't planned it that far yet, depending on what time everything kind of finishes, because then after the coronation we'll have the balcony appearance as well. So depending upon what time everything kind of finishes, I may have time to come here. Anyway, regardless, I will be putting out something on the day, so please stay tuned for that. But in terms of having a party or going out or doing something, no, I will be staying at home and enjoying the coronation, just watching it, just taking it all in, soaking it in, because this is something that we haven't seen in 70 years. It's a really big, for most people, once in a lifetime opportunity to see this sort of ceremonial. And going back to kind of people thinking that this should be a more simplistic affair, no tiaras, no formal dress, no pomp, no circumstance. This is a time when, this is like 10 times more pomp than, for example, a state banquet. Tiaras are worn at state banquets. If you can't wear a tiara at a coronation, when can you wear one? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous to even suggest a flower crown or anything of that nature. So no, I will be watching it on TV like millions of other people in this country and around the globe. And there we have it for today's video. I will be back this week doing a whole series of videos on any coronation news that might be coming out. If you do have any comments and questions or things that you would like me to read out, do leave them in the comment section below. So if you've enjoyed this video, then please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and of course do hit the bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So from me, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.